How is ministry doing in the UK?
It's wonderful, but I want to thank you, your audience, your team, for giving me this platform. It's an honor. So
Right.
thank you so much.
Always.
Yeah, ministry is okay. You know, it's not that easy. The challenges are there,
Right.
but God is with us. I tell people when I started ministry, the first 3 years, I had a very good hair like yours. But I lost all my hair.
Oh my goodness.
I lost all my hair within the first 3 years.
Right.
Yeah, because you're dealing with people. And working with people is never easy. But it's been an amazing journey. I've learned so much through church ministry, and I'm blessed.
Is there a difference, and I'm very curious, is there a difference between ministry in Ghana and ministry, say, in the UK?
Wow.
Are they the most different?
There is a huge difference.
Okay.
Huge, yeah. And that is one of the reasons I'm in Ghana. Yeah. Over the years, I've been asked if I want to establish a church here, and it's been a continuous conversation for years if I have to, but I'm now beginning to believe I have to, because our doctrines, our mindset, where we do church straight from Kotoka Airport, you see chaos. And one thing that fascinates and frustrates me as a leader, since I've been in Ghana, they do Ghanaians, predominantly a lot of people go to church 7 days. And I can't get my head over. Monday, they are in church in the morning, afternoon, evening, Tuesday, Wednesday. They're using working hours to just go to church, to pray to a God. I don't understand. So I'm really frustrated, and over 16, 17 years, the cry to see African change has been in my heart.
Right.
I'm like a weeping prophet.
Right.
To see a transformation. And one of the biggest places is even within the religious sectors. And it's a big issue in Africa. Yeah.
And that cry is what has brought you to Ghana?
Yes.
This time around?
Yes.
And how has the reception been since you touched down?
Wonderful. When I came, I had 5 days in Cape Coast.
Okay.
And the people didn't want me to go. On the Saturday, we had a long day leadership seminar. And then back to Trasaco, we had a leadership royal summit. Wonderful. The people were so happy, blessed. I just came back from Kumasi. And now
You've been busy since
all
you came
over.
back.
And I had interview with Prime, Joy Prime.
Right.
They also interviewed me on a power of character in leadership. And then here, I've got another one tonight, Sunday. So it's all over the place. But the reception has been amazing. And I could see that people are eager to see change. People are waking up. They are now realizing the need and the importance of a better leadership, both in the church and the corporate institutions. So it's been wonderful. Wonderful.
I don't envy you at all because you have quite a lot on your plate here in Ghana. But then when we talk about leadership, how crucial is good leadership from church, in the home, in an institution? How important is it?
Wow, and I thank you so much, sir. You know, Ghana is described as a Christian country, right? Even though we have other religions. So since you are Christian, we'll go through biblical method.
Right.
So imagine God is not a good leader. Everything is created was structured. And he gave man dominion mandate to lead. So God is a leader. And for me, leadership is the fundamental or the core components of every nation. Right. Family. If you're a father and you're not a good leader, your home will break down. If our institution, just like educational sectors, the governance, so leadership is what preserves posterity. As I think you rightly said, everything rises and falls on leadership. So without leadership, sir, we are heading to disaster.
Wow.
Yeah, and in the Bible says something, that the whole of Israel, everyone did what was right in their sight because there was no king. The word king there is leadership. And the Bible says, woe to a nation whose leader is youth. The word youth talks about a leader who is not matured. So without leadership, there is no accountability, no progress, no purpose, no right vision, no convictions. Without leadership, there is no life. That is how I see. And leadership is crucial, especially in this part of Africa, the whole world.
Right.
But Africa, for me, is what we lack, effective leaders.
When you look at Africa as a continent, you look at Ghana as a country, on all the other nations, I've heard people talk about the fact that our problem is not natural resources because we are blessed with a plethora of them. But then the problem is leadership. And I want to understand why is the problem leadership? We elect our leaders. They are very qualified people, educated people, and all of that. So how is the problem leadership?
Yeah, thank you once again. And I want to thank some of the great people in life who have contributed tremendously to also tackling this same question. I think even Pastor Ashimolo wrote a book, What's Wrong with Being Black? And there are many people who are doing their best. I know you have a guy in Ghana, very gentleman, Professor Jampo.
Yes.
Is it Jampo?
Yes.
He's doing really well. You see, leadership is not coterminous with management. The fact that someone is leading or managing an organization doesn't mean he's a leader. Oh, yes. You can manage, but not necessarily lead.
Okay.
And the mistake we do, we elect wrong people into positions of power. And when they come, we become the corporate. Because we are the same people that by virtue of, let's say, for example, permit me to use the word poverty. It's one of the driving force of African leadership, why we vote people into power. Because we believe when Bernard comes into power, my family is sorted. So for me, the biggest issue with us is that we elect wrong people. We elect politicians more than leaders. So Africa has more politicians than leaders. Oh, yes.
And what makes one a good leader? Because if you are electing politicians and not electing leaders, but the politicians are the ones who put themselves up.
And we vote for them.
And
they give us big promises. Now, leadership is influence. I believe leadership is the capacity to influence people through a vision, which must be ignited by a purpose and must be sustained by conviction. So a leader without a clear purpose or vision is not a leader, because that vision must be translated into reality. Now the question is, when we vote our leaders into power, do they fulfill the promises they made? They make? Most of them don't do. Because to most African leaders, coming into power is like winning the lottery. The family is sorted, people around them. We are more tribalistic, nepotisms. Greed is one of the downfalls of African leadership. So for me, a great leader inspires hope. Anytime a true leader is born and made, guess what? The people rejoice because there is what? Hope. Look at Burkina Faso. Traore. How many years? 2 and what? 2 years and few months. Look at, we can check. Look at the things the guy has done in a short space of time. And guess what? In history, this is the first time Africa has risen up to say that we will not allow the West to kill an African leader. It's never happened. Why? Because they've seen the light. So true leadership brings light. It brings hope. It restores the hope of people. But do we see that in many places? Look at our brother Joseph Magufuli of Tanzania. Within 5 years, 3 months, look at what he did. He canceled what is called, we call it 6 March, Independence Day marching. How many years has Ghana spent on money on Independence Day? When I was young, I grew up here, left, I think, Ghana when I was about 16 years. So I'll spend most of my years in Europe. But how many years? I was a young kid like yourself, marching. We walk on this hot sun. And the money we spend, billions of dollars. What did we gain? But Joseph Magufuli was one of those African leaders who saw the need to cancel that. And the next president was a lady, also continue.
We've started it.
We've started, and I believe our president possibly emirates from Tanzania. Because look at the money they've invested in other areas by canceling just Independence Day. So for me, we need to sit down and look at what is called leadership priority. And one of my cry in life is for me is that leadership will become part of our curriculum in schools. By God's grace, sir, I've had talks with members of parliament, people, big men in parliament. I had talks with police officers, and I'm blessed with great people around me. When I have conversations with them, I'm shocked how people who are in parliaments or power oppositions, they have no idea what is leadership. Who is a leader? I worked some time ago when I had meetings with some members of parliament, and I was shocked their answer. They're watching me right now. When I asked them, what's your vision for the country? Now you are in parliament. They said, oh, can I say this in Twi? They said, permit me in our own language. Oh, wow. And I wept. Oh, we are all going to enjoy the country's money. When you come, you have to do your best, accumulate a lot of wealth. And I know a lot of people who are bought properties all over and things. And it's very sad. Your African leadership is more like entitlement.
Right.
Instead of service.
So the call to duty is lost.
The call to duty doesn't exist. It is lost.
Wow.
Because we are more, I said earlier, that African leadership is more entitlement. When a person comes into leadership, he believes he has the right to own everything. Just like me being a head pastor by the grace of God. Imagine I believe the church is mine. What's going to happen? I have the right, I'm entitled to every church coffer.
Yeah.
The money in the church coffer, I can use it. And I have pastor friends who buy cars, building mansions for themselves, and there is no accountability. That is what African leadership is all about. We don't have the leadership mindset. The things that determines a leader's ability, capacity, the belief system, the behavior. We don't have it. We just wake up, we are leaders, and we are just going. That is why nothing is working.
So are leaders made or born? Can we say, oh, this gentleman or this lady is a born leader, this one is a made leader? Which one? How do we get leaders?
You know, when it comes to leadership, it's very complex. It's just like marriage. But when you look at theories of leadership, the character traits, influence and power, transformational leadership, contingency, leadership traits, and all this, there's one thing that stands out, which is called man leadership or Mayman leadership theory. They believe leaders are born.
Okay.
But I oppose that theory a bit. I believe, no, they believe leaders are born but not made. But I believe within every human being, there is an inherent ability to be a leader by nature.
Okay.
Just like a bird doesn't need to go to training school to fly. Bird has to fly. If a bird cannot fly, automatically there's something wrong with a bird. A fish doesn't need swimming lessons to swim. Within the fish, there is an inherent quality endowed in the fish by Creator. We believe is God. So every human being, that's one of the first gifts God gave. Lead, take dominion. And in Genesis 2 verse 5, the Bible says God did not allow any rain to fall because there was no man to till the ground. That means there was no manager, no leader. But in verse 2:15, God said, Adam, keep this and manage it. So the first mandate God gave to human beings is a mandate of responsibility of management and leadership. So any nation that do not accept that leadership is the fundamental thing or pivotal center for everything, that nation is going to struggle. And I said from the airport to everywhere I have been, there is chaos, disorder. Because why? Leadership.
So it's not necessarily a problem of the followers, but the leadership?
Now, let me...
I'm asking this because we've said time and again that we've seen the Europes, the Americas develop, and even when you plug Ghanaians who might not adhere to things here, once they get there, they are different.
They are different.
So what really is the challenge? What's the difference?
The difference is this, very simple. Say me, myself, when I first landed in Europe, I went to school in Italy. By God's grace, I've traveled around, and my first place I landed was Germany. The first time I landed at the airport, something just tells you, don't put rubbish on the floor. You can't stand everywhere and just urinate.
Right.
You know why? Because structures are being put in place. So there is a book I have coming out, African Pathway to Freedom. And I have another book, Who Bewitched Africa? Why are we what we are? What is wrong? Why? Because there's a law And freedom demands a law. Where there is no law, there is what?
Okay.
They know I came, I see many people. I see people well-dressed, and they will stand on the street urinating, throwing rubbish. I stood next to a police officer in Kumasi, and a guy was throwing a huge bunch of bottles on the gutter, in the gutter, and nothing was done. But there, guess what? Laws are there. I had a speeding ticket one day. I was caught speeding, and they wrote me a letter. And you can't believe. I wrote them back. When I got the letter that I was speeding, I'll be fine and all those. First, you get to accept if it's your fault. So I wrote them back to say that I'm sorry, I'm a reverend minister, I work with the police, the council, I do this, blah, blah, blah. I do take the blame. I'm wrong. I will not do that again. Do you know what? The police, the DVLA wrote to me, whoever the police or I was shocked. They said, because you're a leader, you'll be punished more.
Wow. Even though you have admitted?
Yes, I went to court, everything. If it was this place, I came to Ghana, I was stopped in Kumasi almost by 10 police officers because of the car I was driving, and it was DV plate.
Right.
And guess what? Most of the police officers, they just, oh, hello, Openyi. Hello, boss, how are you? We just want, something for our day. I'm like, what?
Wow.
One police officer was like, oh, where's your licenses? Where is this? Before I even start talking, I had a phone call from one of the big names in the land. So he said, oh, where are you? So I was going to have a meeting with him. And then the moment the police officer heard his voice, this is so and so. Yes, sir. Sir, I'm sorry. I didn't know this, your brother. He said, yes, I'm having a meeting with Apostle Bernard. He said, sir, if you get to this, the words from the police officer, if you get to anywhere and the police stops you in Ghana, mention his name, they will let you go.
Wow. Meanwhile, elsewhere, you will be punished.
You can't do that because you know why? There's a law. The law teaches you what to do. The law disciplines you. Here, people are not accountable because you know why? They know the law system here is weak. The law deals with only weak people, not the big name, the big fishes. Europe is not like that. No, during the COVID, our ex-prime minister, Boris Johnson, we were told no one should have a party.
Yes.
He had a party, and then he was caught. I even voted myself. We took him out. Our health minister, I've just forgotten his name, he too was caught kissing his secretary. And, we were told that, contact and all this should be limited. Straight away, he dismissed himself. So Europe is no game. You don't joke because accountability
is the key.
Leadership without accountability is dangerous to humanity.
Wow. Apostle, I wish we could continue this conversation, but I need to be accountable for my time. So I'll take your final words this morning as we wrap up the conversation.
My final words is this, that one of the most important components in leadership is character. And character is integrity. And character preserves a leader's legacy. If you look at Idi Amin, what made Mobutu Sese Seko starve his nation, took the money, 3.1 trillion. What made King Leopold Belgium II killed almost 10 to 15 million Congolese and enslaved humanity. It's all belief system. So one of the most important things in leadership, a leader's mindset. So I want to end by quoting Dr. Miles, that an army of sheep led by a lion will always defeat an army of lions led by sheep. Regardless to human capital, the strength, the knowledge, the resource a nation have. If the leader's mindset is weak, the people and the nation can never move forward. So every leader, character is the key. Without character, Africa, we have a long way to go. But we need leaders who will be accountable, put the nations at heart, who will not be entitled, but serve the need of the people who are selfless. So my prayer is that Africa will raise leaders who have the nation at heart, and many young people are rising up to that task. So
Apostle, you couldn't have put it any better. Thank you so much for your time this morning. That's Apostle Bernard O.A. Antwi. He is founder and senior pastor of Faithway Global Ministries in Coventry in the UK, talking about leadership. Very, very powerful.